One of the elements of my pedagogy that has changed or transformed more than anything else is the incorporation of reacting to the past games. Reacting to the past games are historical, deep dive games in which students are cast in roles as historical figures, and they're grappling with really important ideas in times of tumult and conflict and change. In spring of 2023, Dr. Ridlen and I proposed an interdisciplinary class. We had taught an interdisciplinary class in spring of 2022. It was really well received. We decided we wanted to do it again. And this time, what we wanted to do was try to create a class that would maximize student engagement. And so in this class, we combined a full-length reacting to the past game on the Mexican Revolution, and combine that with a study abroad opportunity over spring break for students to go to Mexico City to be able to experience firsthand a lot of the ideas and places that we had talked about in the course. So the way that the Mexican Revolution is set up is every game session is a different topic of importance to the revolutionary struggle in Mexico. So we were looking recently at education reform. And the idea around education reform is, how do you create a system of education that reaches a much larger population? Literacy rates in Mexico were very low leading up to the revolution. Nationwide, they were at about 16%. And so one of the big priorities that comes out of the revolution is, how do we create a much more literate population? In the game, students are cast as historical figures. Each character has an individualized set of victory objectives. And at all points in time in the game, students are trying to be loyal to those victory objectives. All their strategies, all their plotting, all their scheming, all their speeches, everything is connected to winning. And in this game, you can win and you can get a legacy win. So there's sort of like an extra win condition. And we find that that motivates students. And so it's not just what happens in the class, it's what happens outside the class. We're getting emails all the time. We're listening into conversations of students that spill over into other classes that they're in. And that's one of the great marks of classes like this. 15 or 20 minutes after the class ends, we still have at least 10 students from that class that are sitting around scheming, plotting, talking, and in no other classes that I teach does that happen. Engaged pedagogy is something that is, I think, increasingly imperative for colleges and universities in the United States. And I think that reacting, there are games that are for history classes, of course that's the majority of them, but there are games that relate to art, there are games that relate to the sciences. And one of the things that comes out of these games is that students get a much better understanding of really important, what we call threshold concepts. Ideas around causation, ideas around strategy making, that oftentimes when students think to the past, they don't always think about their subjects as being just as strategic as they are in their everyday lives. And so it gives them a practical application to it. It introduces the idea of competition. They want to win. And so I think it's a really great way to get the kinds of things like student engagement, enduring learning, the kinds of things that we want to have happen in the college classroom.